Baerga, de mi parte, uno de los mejores bateadores que yo veía de fuerza cuando yo llegaba allí, sprint training con los Indios de Cleveland. Pero aquí vamos a conocer un poquito más a fondo a Albert Belle, no solamente el que usted veía en televisión, sino ver y escuchar también la vida de Albert Belle, por si acaso usted no sabe quién es Albert Belle o algo por el estilo. Aquí está un lado de nosotros.
Question was not throwing it, Kirby. This could be it. It is. Number 50 for Belle. Line to center field. Back is Edmonds to the warning track to the wall. It's gone. A grand slam home run. The magic continues. The Indians win. Oh. Get it. Ball hit deep into left field. Whitten goes back, looks up. You can put it on the board. Yeah. Numbers against Chuck Finley. This is driven to deep right. See you later. Albert Belle has just gone out of here. They get the Orioles right back in it.
Here we go, amigos. We got Albert Belle with us. Bienvenido a Me Gustan los Deportes junto a Baerga y sus amigos. Nice seeing you, my man. Albert Belle here with us.
All right, good to see you. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
Oh my God, I have one of my best friends of baseball that God gave me the opportunity to start with him in the building with the Cleveland Indians, and I'm one of the best hitters. I never see anybody that work harder than this guy. And today we have the opportunity to learn, how everything is starting in life. And Albert, where were you born?
I was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's a small town in northwest Louisiana, and we just grew up in this small, typical middle-class neighborhood where there was all black families. And, there was a lot of, boys and kids in the neighborhood. They were a lot older. And we just pretty much, hung out together, played sports. And, even though these kids were, bigger, stronger, faster, you had to figure out how to survive and play with these kids. Otherwise, you'd just be on the sideline watching them. But we played football during football season. We transitioned to basketball, in the off season, in the winter. And then we came back and played, spring baseball. So we were pretty much outdoors all the time, just playing sports. And we all ended up going to high school together. And, we graduated together. And it was some great times.
I mean, growing up, Albert, now that you're talking about the way you were growing up around, a lot of other kids, and a lot of them grow older than you. I mean, how important you think it was for you, not just to make it to the big league because of that, but how important was to you through life to be able to do a lot of different sports just, while you were growing up?
Well, it was just a thing that the older kids did. A couple kids had basketball hoops, a couple kids had football. Our family had all the baseball equipment. And there was a junior high school like right around the corner. We would just walk onto the field, and you could play track, you could play tennis. They had everything, and that's how things were back in the day, where you could just walk onto the school and practice and play and have fun and hang out pretty much from sun up, and then everybody had to go home once the sun set.
Albert, you have the blessed, to have your father. I met your father. I met your mother too, and I know that he was very important, for your life. At the beginning, your father was a high school baseball and football coach. In there, and your mother was a teacher too. How important was, to have a family that teach you, first of all, to have good grades in school, no matter where you're born. They want you to have good grades, and second, to have a sport.
Well, the first priority is, we had to hit the books. We had to make the grades. We couldn't play sports unless we had our grades up. and my dad taught, PE and geography. He was like the driver's ed instructor when you had the car. And He coached football, basketball, and baseball, so he pretty much did it year round. But the influence that he had on us is like he would just take us to the park, and we never had to we would always say, "Dad, let's go to the park. Let's go hit some balls. Let's go do this. Let's go that." And he always would. And I remember after just because I pitched after every practice, he would say, "Okay, you have to jog home." And so it was 1.1 miles. And he said, "Son, you gotta keep your legs strong.
Wow.
You gotta be in shape. You're always, you gotta pitch and you gotta be ready." And back then when you jog home, you jog through these neighborhoods and people had dogs and nobody had fences. So you had to really figure out where all the dogs were, and some would chase you and you had to sprint, and then some wouldn't. So you were always looking around. But after every practice, I had to jog home, and he instilled in us good work habits. Being an athlete, and my hat goes out to him, and I appreciate. I can't say thank you enough for all the hours and all the pitches and all the ground balls and fly balls, and he threw to myself and my brother.
And that's pretty nice. You see, he was teaching you a lot of things without even knowing you. For you, you were like, "Oh my God, I had to run, I had to do all this." But he was getting you smarter too. He was able to run this way, run not that way. So he was getting on you. So whenever you made it something after college or something, you at least have something working behind your brain without even knowing that he was doing that to you. But it was good to hear that, because right now, I think even if I tell my daughter to run from here to the back door there, she's probably gonna be like, "No, I'm not running though. Are you crazy? I'm not doing that."
What's funny now is I have 3 daughters. They're 15, 13, 11, and they play club sports, and sometimes they'll kind of give you a little sass, because I'm like, "Hey, let's go work out in the yard." And they were like, "Well, Dad, we don't really want to feel like it." So I said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a choice.
Wow.
You can either practice with me, or you can come help me pick these weeds and landscape the yard." and so they go work out, and they get their workouts in, and so it works. But the thing about my kids, I always try to give them a choice.
Yes.
And they usually they never going to volunteer to pick the weeds and all that. So it ends up working out pretty good.
Albert, when did you got to the point that you say, "You know what? I think I could do something in baseball"? When was that? How old were you, and who was the person that pretty much just told you, you could do it? It's time for you to just concentrate in baseball.
Well, my senior year, I was trying to decide if I wanted to play football or baseball, and I wasn't a very big kid. I graduated 5'10", 165.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a high school quarterback, but when I got to college, I had a chance to start as a freshman in baseball. So I focused on baseball. It was the first time where you get exposed to a trainer who strength coach. They show you how to properly lift weights. And then, you got a chance to eat in an athletic, kitchen. And, we ate a lot of steak and potatoes. So I put on a lot of weight, and just from lifting weights and eating a lot as a freshman. So I always wanted to try to pursue, being a quarterback, but I just figured I had a better chance to start as a freshman in baseball.
This guy, let me say to the people, this guy was amazing. In high school, he was the best player in basketball and football. He was a graduate, he was the vice president of the Future Business Leader of America. So he was a great student too. Listen to this, people. He played with the USA Junior Olympic team. Two in there. Did you pitch in there, or you play outfield?
Well, I played outfield, and we had some pretty good stud pitchers that got drafted, and we had a game against Australia, and we had kind of used up a lot of our pitchers, and the coach was like, hey, I heard you pitch. Can you pitch against Australia? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I threw like a 7-inning complete game, and it was like, wow, like everybody was kind of looking around. I was like, we didn't know you could pitch. I was like, well, yeah, but
Wow.
back then there was no social media where like I can go out and tweet and Twitter and say I'm like,
put a video or something.
Yeah, there was no place to put a video, so they didn't know. So I was selected as an outfielder, and it just so happened, they ran out of pitching and they wanted to give some guys some rest, and I went out and threw a complete game, and it worked out for us. But we went to Canada, and we ended up losing 1-0 to Cuba.
Okay.
And they had a pretty good team. So and Jack McDowell was our. We had Jack McDowell, we had Greg Olson, Mike Ignatiak. We had a lot of pitchers.
What about Ben McDonald? No.
No. He was a freshman when I was a junior, okay. So he was in college. So he was 2 years under me, but he was on our college team. That was pretty good.
Okay. Awesome.
Ben McDonough, I mean, wow. You're talking about Jack McDowell. I mean, if you guys don't know who they are, man, first of all, you're not a baseball fan, though, but you need to go to Baseball Reference or go YouTube or somewhere so you can see this. I mean, when do you got that call from the Indians that you were gonna get drafted by them, and that you got drafted by them? Since back then it was not like now that computers and technology, you could find out right away. I mean, when do you knew that the Indians drafted you?
It was probably on the weekend, and I remember I got drafted after my junior year. And I remember I was so sad after my senior year, like I thought I should have been drafted, and I knew I wasn't ready to go pursue baseball, but it was like they had 69 rounds. And I was like, wow, like 69 rounds, and I didn't get picked. But there was a lot of other kids from Louisiana that got picked, and they were like in the late 60s, and I didn't even get then. So I kind of had a chip on my shoulder. And when I got to college, like I worked my butt off, and I get to college, and I remember we were at home for the summer, and we were outside playing, and I think I came in like to get something to eat for lunch, and my dad was like, he's like, the Indians called and they said they drafted you, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I was like, okay, so we'll see how this goes, and then probably just went right back out in the neighborhood and played with the kids, and I don't even think I told them. So we just kept playing until sunset. So, it was a big deal, and and it was a great honor, and when you realize that all you need is one chance, one time to get drafted, and you just have to make the most of that opportunity.
But you deserve it, man. You was All-American in 86, 87. You hit, look at this, Payito. Look at his number in college, putting together the years. 332 average a year, 32 doubles, 49 homers, 172 RBIs. This guy was a machine in there. So the Cleveland Indians picked him in the second round in 1987, draft the Cleveland Indians. And then, Albert, you went to, I think you spent almost a year. That's it, in the minor leagues. Or maybe 2 years.
Probably about a year and a half. I spent a year and a half in the minor leagues. I went to Double-A in '89 and had a sensational first half of the season. And I remember we were in the Eastern League. So the Eastern League was where all the top pitching prospects went. And usually some of those guys skipped Triple-A. And it was our first year in Canton, Akron, and the home run record was 19. And I hit 20 home runs before the All-Star break. Wow. So I had the home run record, and they called me up at the All-Star break.
So people know. I mean, back at that time when you got drafted and you start playing in the minor league, of course the Indians were not that good. Things were, always happening in Cleveland. Fans were restless. What's going to happen? And at one point, it was pretty much just Albert Belle, the only prospect that we have in the minor league. I mean, did you feel that pressure that the Indians are expecting me to be maybe the guy that is going to change the organization, or you were so young that you were just, I'm just playing baseball, I don't care?
Well, I was always confident in my ability, and I knew if I continued to put hard work, like I can, help things change around for the organization. But I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And then when John Hart took over, he made some phenomenal moves. We made the trade where we got Carlos and Sandy, and we got the draft picks started getting better. And I remember, like, we had a bad team like in the early 90s, but you could see it was like, okay, like eventually they're going to turn it around. But we just I needed a little bit more seasoning. And then once we moved into the new stadium in '94, we were like, okay, now it's our time to shine. And now we're going to start paying everybody back who was like kicking our butt when we lost 100 games, because we remembered, and I kept tallies of like all these teams, all these guys who were like kicking our butts, and I said, we're gonna get a chance to get our revenge against those guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that. I have to say, at the beginning when you came up to the big leagues, it was you. Everybody know that you was going to be a good hitter, but you was going through the transition, to learn the league, practicing. But something that you have that I say to everybody, I never see anybody that work harder than this guy right here. This guy was in the cage early every day. After the game, sometimes he was in the old ballpark, Palillito. It was the worst batting cage I ever seen in my life. The worst. You remember?
Yeah, it was bad. It's bad.
This guy was there hitting with Jose Morales, hitting in there. But then everything clicked in on 1991. 1991, you hit 28 home run, 95 RBI, 282. That from that on, you explode, in there, and organization went through a next level like that. Tell me, what has changed your mind in there?
Well, it was a time where I'd worked so hard, and I wanted to kind of like, okay, now it's starting to like, I had to become like a 5-2 player. They were trying to say like my defense wasn't good, so I was working on defense. I was working on base running. I was working on my speed, and I was working on hitting, and then I was working on being mentally tough. Yeah. And that's one of the things I learned. Like, it's tough to get to the big leagues, but you have to be mentally tough to stay there, and to be able to to be a part of a team where you all have to be mentally tough and play as a team and to win, to have a winning season. And that was probably the biggest adjustment, is like the mental toughness of the game. Yeah. And it just took a while, because you were like, wow, like 162 games, like every day we got to travel here. We got to, there's no off time. It's like, and then when you get an off day, it was like, wow, okay, I got like one day of rest, but the next day is like, okay, back to the grind. And it was just, when I got that mental toughness, then I saw my game go to the next level.
Who was that person that first few years when you were up and down between the minor leagues and the big league? Who was that person that really clicked on you? Either it was hitting, or was just playing the game, or the mental part? I mean, who was that person that you could say, well, so and so helped me a lot to understand what I needed to do?
Well, in Double-A, it was a big stepping stone, because we had Bobby Molinaro as our manager, and
I think he played Puerto Rico.
Yeah, he played. Yeah. He played. Yeah. He had a nice little career. I think most of his time was with the White Sox, but we had a outfield instructor named Billy Williams, and he was a career minor leaguer.
Yes.
So he had spent 20-something years, but he was always positive, and he was always in a great mood, and he didn't let anything get him down.
Yeah.
And he made sure, like, I'm gonna work on outfield. He would help me with my outfield, like
every day,
like hitting the cutoff man, throw to the proper base, back up, backing up the bases wherever the ball's going. So when and it took a while to realize it's like wherever the ball is hit on the field, everybody has a position they got to be in. You got to make sure you're in there. And so that was a big year, and I mean it was a lot of work. And I'm thankful for those guys to like help me take my game to the next level, and it paid off.
Albert, how important it was for you to came down to Puerto Rico on the 90s? I remember that you went down to Puerto Rico to Ponce. How important was for you to play winter ball? I don't know if did you play winter ball before, or that was the only time?
I played a season in Mexico. That was 1988. And I played in Puerto Rico. And the toughest thing was in high school, I took in junior high, I took 2 years of French. And high school, I took 4 years of French. So I took like 6 years of French. And I was like, okay, I'm never going to use French. And I was like, wow, I wish I would have taken Spanish. And I think that would have helped the transition, because I would have been able to speak like fluent Spanish. And so it would have helped with the transition and to be able to speak, 2 different languages, it's a great thing. And now with my daughters, I keep telling them they're going to speak fluent Spanish by the time they graduate high school. And so, and I love the school they're in because, there's a big Hispanic population out here in Arizona, and, they offer the Spanish classes, and they got some great Spanish teachers, and the kids love it. And they can speak, the language better than I can.
and that's good because when playing in Puerto Rico, at least you get the idea now. When we go to the state to play, we understand how this guy feel. He might need some help in certain things because it's true. I mean, people don't know how hard it is, Albert, when we try to make it to the state and we have no idea what we're saying. We go to McDonald's every day just to say number 1, number 2, and we're praying that person doesn't say you want pickles on it or cheese. We have no idea what was going to happen. So that must be nice when you get to see all the Hispanic guys in the big league when you made it there.
Yeah, it was it was great. It was fun. I tried to learn the language. I can say, hey, how you doing, and what's going on. But I think if you speak for me, if you speak it you have to speak it really, really slow, and I can pick up on what you're gonna say. But the language is very fast, and it's just like I'm speaking English, you're speaking Spanish, so it's hard for me to pick up on it. But I wish I would have taken those 6 years of Spanish instead of French.
Albert, 1993, you have a monster year, and you made your first All-Star game. 1993, you made your first All-Star game, and if I remember, I don't know if you was with the home run contest that year. You was there. Oh my God, Palillito, you find that one.
You said,
yeah.
You was in the home run contest?
No, this was in Camden Yards.
And
I wasn't in that one. I think I was in the next one in 94. Okay. And I remember it was so exciting. And the great thing about that All-Star game is you saw so many old time players, the Bob Gibsons, the Lou Brocks, Sandy Alomar Sr., from all these different places, and you got a chance to hang out with them and talk to them and exchange stories, and then at the time it wasn't interleague, so we never really saw the National League guys that much, so you got a chance to meet with those guys, get autographs from them. We did take pictures, and I have a bunch of pictures. I got to find them. There's somewhere around here. But your first All-Star game, it was so exciting. It was so much to do, and I can remember, my mom and dad and my brother, they were more excited than I was because they were going around and they were meeting all the, they knew just about all the old timers, and they were like, oh, we just met, I think, Mickey Mantle, I think they met him, and they were just going down the list, Lou Brock. And so it was fun for them, and it was fun for me. And to be able to be selected either by the fans or the pick by the manager, it's a great honor.
I mean, and Baerga was talking about. I know in '95 in Texas, you were there too in the home run derby. I mean, how tough is the home run derby for people that of course they're used to the new one now, 3 minutes, take a break, you get 40 seconds more, and all that stuff. But still, I mean, you still have to try to hit home run. How tough it is in the home run derby to do it?
What at the time, I was in the home run derby. It was very tough because you only get like 10 outs. So if you hit it foul, that was an out. Or if you popped it up and hit on the ground ball, so that was an out. So there was no time limit. I mean, if you just keep hitting home run after home run, but sooner or later you're gonna get tired. I mean, it was hot in Texas, but to be able and the thing about it is you didn't bring your own pitching coach. It was just one of the coaches. You just first time I met this guy and he was just throwing. So that's how tough it was. And
do you want to bring Don Chitty? Don Chitty?
Yeah.
That was the worst. The worst. You know Don Chitty.
Yeah, we remember. I mean, he used to be when I got him in the minor league. He was a little short-handed. He started getting loaded short, and I was like,
I know the worst. But I know I want to bring Louis Isaac.
Right.
Isaac.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Palito, Albert, in 1994, you almost win the batting champion. If the people don't know this, he finished second, 2 points behind Paul O'Neill. Tell me about that race right there.
You know what? It was pretty exciting, and and the funny thing is, I think Lofton might have finished like third or fourth, so he wasn't that far behind.
And I was fifth.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah,
so
you better say it. Say it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was such a fun season, and I'm so upset that it had to end in the strike.
July 19th.
But to be able to, when you look at what Kenny Lofton was doing, what Omar was doing, and what Carlos Baerga was doing, it was fun to watch those three guys perform. And like they were on base like all the time, and I was just coming up, and I was like, "Wow!" Like, I mean, this is gonna be fun here. Coming up with runners in score position, and and the thing about it, all three of those guys, they weren't afraid to steal bases.
Yeah.
So because the pitcher thought they were going to steal bases, I saw a lot of fastballs.
Yeah.
And then also had the Hall of Famer Eddie Murray hitting behind me cleanup. So it was basically pick your poison. But that top five of our lineup was pretty special, and to be the cleanup hitter and to to be a part of such a great top five, it was pretty good, pretty special.
Okay.
And I remember the last day because somebody actually brought it up that I was close to winning the batting title, and they thought we were going to go on strike that day. Paul O'Neill got 2 hits that day, and I only got 1. And we were in. I forgot where we were, and then that helped him to win the batting title.
You see, guys, I mean, one of the best hitters we got a year. I mean, power hitter, but still, he was always a good hitter. Retired with a 295 batting average. But now that we're talking about hitting, Albert, I mean, what was your philosophy about hitting? I mean, because you weren't just a guy that was going to pull the ball. It's not what we're used to see now in the new baseball. Pull the ball and strike out, and that, whatever they call that, lunch angle, whatever that little thing. I have no idea. I have no idea to call it, man, because I don't like it, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your philosophy back then?
My main philosophy was I wanted to get a lot of base hits and hit 300. I always felt that I was a 300 hitter.
Oh my God! Listen to that. Listen to that, people.
But in order for you to hit 300, you have to be able to hit the ball all over the ballpark. And the one thing that I took pride in is like you couldn't play a shift on me. You couldn't pitch me inside and play me to pull, because I would have hit the ball out the park, and if you played me away, I would hit the ball off the right center fence. So that was the one thing I like, is I wasn't afraid to hit the ball anywhere. And this was, I knew Avery was going to throw me an outside pitch, and I just took it the other way. And I wasn't
Yeah.
afraid to whether that ball would have been a single or a double off the wall. And I just, because I'm big and strong, that the ball actually went out. So I didn't have a problem going the other way. And you know what? And to look back on that, and the one thing I really appreciated, I watched Baerga get 200 hits. And I watched those at bats, and I'm telling you, man, like there was some pitches outside, and he's like, boop, and he just hit it over the left field, and he could hit, right-hander, left-hander, hit for power, hit the other ways, but that was the thing back then. Is like we wanted to play every day. We wanted to come to the ballpark. We wanted to play. We didn't even know what a oblique strain was and a calf contusion and all that. And I'm like, because I asked some of some former baseball players, and I was like, did anybody ever hurt their side oblique when we were playing? And because I know nobody hurt a calf muscle. I know that for a fact. And I was just like, wow, there's just all these new injuries. I said, man, this is crazy. I say, man, I want to go out. I want to play. And that was the thing, I loved about Baerga and the guys on our team is like we wanted to play every day. We didn't care whether we were getting beat. Yes, it wasn't a good feeling when you were losing 100 games, but we knew that wasn't going to happen for long.
Albert, let me tell the people what you're saying. This guy right here from 1991 through 2000, 10 years, he hit average 37 homers, 120 RBIs. Listen what he say at the beginning. I want to get base hits. I want to bring RBIs. That was his mind. I want to hit 300. Look at the mind that he has right here. And right now, Albert, let me tell you something. Right now, there's, how many teams? 1, 2, 3, 6 teams right now in first place. Of the 16 in first place, there's just one team. They have a player hitting 300. There's all the guys hitting under 230. Under 230. The only thing that have people hitting 300 is the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are the only team in first place having guys to hit 300. It's amazing. That's why baseball, I don't understand what's going on. Look at what you say at the beginning. Eddie Mullins said the same thing. Barry Larkin said the same thing the other day. Every good hitter say it was a prize for me to hit 300, to get RBIs. That was my main thing in there. And when I watched the strikeout, because Palillito always watched that of players, he always watched that. And I say, look, on your 12 years, you got just 2 times they went over 100 a strikeout. So you don't strike out that much. For a power hitter, you don't strike out that much. That's amazing. Juan Gonzalez either. Juan Gonzalez one time went over 100. How special was that to bring RBIs? That was a big thing for you?
Yeah, driving in runs because, in order for you to win games, you have to get hits and you have to put together hits and you have to score runs. And the thing about like our pitching staff, when they saw, they were like, wow, like these guys are going to score a bunch of runs. So it makes them relax and they can go out and they can enjoy pitching. Where it's like, say for like Jacob DeGrom, they're talking about his run support. So he's probably pitching it tight because he may only get 1 run. But in our situation, like our pitchers knew like, wow, I got 3 runs in the first or second inning. Okay, wow, I can relax now and I can, work on things and play, pitch these guys and not try to strike them out and let them hit the ball on the ground ball, double play. And, it wasn't a big deal about the pitch count, but guys would go 6 or 7 innings. They were always doing like quality starts and they were well below 100 pitches in 6 or 7 innings.
Okay, now that you guys are here, because Baerga too is here. So, I mean, for you, Albert, the 1995 team, you could rank it in the top 3 of all time? Because, I mean, for me, I think it's one of the best team ever assembled and one of the best lineup ever assembled. But, of course, they always remember they didn't win the World Series. The Braves won the World Series. Well, Brave and the umpires with the strikes on another. Whatever. whatever. But, you know, they always go, oh, 98 Yankees. And, of course, the one in the 60s and all that. But I think for the last 50 years, I think I had to rank the 1995 Cleveland Indian lineup in the top 3.
Well, here's the thing. We only played 144 games. So when you look at the 98 Yankees, they won a bunch of games and had a great team. I think there was a Seattle Mariners team that ended up winning.
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah, 100 some games.
16.
So they 116. So they had some pretty good hitters. But to do what we did in 144 games, that means like we had like 18 more games. Like we could have done like way more damage.
Oh my God!
But I think you can compare us because I think one of the teams in the 60s, they might have played 144 games or 152 games. So you can kind of compare us with them. But you from top to bottom, it was a great lineup and it was a fun lineup. And the thing about it is, I was looking at a stat the other day. We only struck out. I think we struck out like 750 times as a team. Right now at the All-Star break, probably half the league has struck out like over 800 times in a game already. So it's like they have a team hitting like one team's hitting like 215 as a team. I say,
yeah,
golly, I was like, I remember Detroit, had all the strikeout guys. Yeah, and they were hitting like 240. They at least hit 240 as a team. Yeah. So it's bad how some of the hitting has just gone from bad to worse. And I don't understand why baseball has allowed for strikeouts to be okay, because we took it personal. Like we were so proud to put the ball in play, and we didn't care where it went. Yes, base hits were good, but when a pitcher make a great pitch and we put it in play. Sometimes we got hits. Sometimes, we hit line drives right at people. But that was the one thing we took pride in. We weren't out there, swinging, trying to hit a 600-foot home run every time. That wasn't us. Yeah. That wasn't our era. Our team was built on putting the ball in play and using our speed and putting pressure on the opposing pitcher, and we were successful at it.
Yeah. Albert, in 1995, you became the first player ever to have 50 doubles and 50 homers. And that year was a special year. And something happened that I was pissed off, and everybody was pissed off. You lead the league in almost every category in there, and they don't give you the MVP. How you feel about that?
At the time, I probably knew I wasn't going to get it because, I wasn't, a media darling. And I remember people would come up to me and they're like, hey, what's the secret to your season? I say, well, if I tell you, it wouldn't be a secret then. So, I just kind of felt like I didn't want to tell like all my secret, what was going on out there, because I really didn't want to know, because I just kind of wanted to kind of hang out under the radar and put together the big season. And, but we got a lot of attention. We ran away with the American League. I think we finished by like 30-some games.
Yes.
And, we ran through the playoffs, and it was the first time the Indians, been in the World Series in like 40-some years. So it was a special season. And don't forget, I had one triple. So I legged out a triple. So, but that was the thing. It's like we didn't care. Single, double, triples, and we hit some home runs. I don't think we had the most home runs as a team, but we were pretty close. But we had the most hits.
Yes.
No, and it's nice that you mentioned, Baerga. It's nice that you mentioned about the MVP award that year, because definitely. You won the MVP. I mean, if we go by numbers, you won the MVP, and I think Edgar Martinez finished second. I think Martinez should be the runner-up, and I think Mobong. And I'm a Bostonian.
He's a Bostonian.
I love the Red Sox, but I always tell people that I think Mobong finished third. But we always knew back then those awards goes together with the media. if you have problem with the media by not talking to them or whatever, we knew that could have happened. I remember Jim Rice always telling me about it when he was playing with the Reds, so he always had that trouble too with the media. But he said, he just, I mean, sometimes they do ask stupid questions and stupid things, and I answer if I wanted to, because I mean, you playing a game. I mean, you just want to play the game, enjoy what you're doing, and not everybody could just get a phone, a microphone, and start talking to that easy. It's not that easy. Right. So I mean, it's good that we do the interview, Baerga, because everybody could see now Albert Belle. I'm gonna tell you one thing, guys. Whoever is watching this, I mean, or whenever you guys watch it again, this guy here, when he was in spring training, ready to play the game, and we get called up to go play with them in case they need some backups or something. I mean, his face alone, it would scare the crap out of everybody. I mean, I was like, I'm not talking. I remember Sandy and even Baerga. I mean, you could talk. No, I could look at your face, look at Eddie Murray and Dave Winfield. I was like, no, I'm not talking to nobody. I mean, was that something that you brought as a an individual when you played the game? You wanted to look that way, or it was just your preparation was part of that?
Well, here's the thing: when I got first called up to the big leagues, like they I remember Joe Carter was leading the parade where they haze you and they give you a hard time, and it was all fun and play. And we just wanted to bust the chops of these new guys that come over. So, we would look mean and pretend like we're mean and stuff and kind of, give you a hard time. But it was all fun and games. And we just wanted to keep the new guys on their toes. Like, hey, it's a different world up here. We're going to keep you on your toes. You have to kind of listen to us and do what we tell you, and you'll be fine.
You know what? This guy was a special player, and I always gonna say to everybody, this guy became the first player to make more than $10 million. Palillito. He was the first one. He was the first one to do that. But this guy was special. Look at how special he is. He was the first. He was the fourth player to do this. To have 8 years, over 30 homers, 100 RBIs. You know who was the first one? Babe Ruth, Jimmy Fox, and Lou Gehrig. Then was Albert Belle, and years later was Albert Pujols, Rafael Palmeiro, Manny Ramirez, and Alex Rodriguez. Listen what I say. This guy was a special guy, and this guy showed up to the ballpark to play every day. To have fun every day, hitting the ball, practicing. He don't care about the media. He don't even care about to get awards. He and Manny Ramirez are the only two players that they don't like to pick up awards. He said the bad boys, get the award for me. Get it. Don't get it. They don't like awards. They like to play the game. So the media never understand why Albert Belle don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, Manny's crazy. Is Manny still trying to play in Taiwan somewhere? Yeah.
He'll try to play anywhere, man.
Yeah. Oh, he is? Oh, he's in Puerto Rico. Okay. Yeah. Oh, man. We had some characters on that team. There were some fun guys. And I remember, you mentioned Winfield, and I just remember laughing so hard. He was telling us about the Yankees and the Steinbrenner stories and how crazy it was in New York. And so it was, him and Eddie Murray, they had some great stories, because he was over there with Earl Weaver, who was a great manager. And so it was fun. We had the Dennis Martinez and the Hershiser. So remember, we always call Hershiser Lasorda, Tommy Lasorda Jr. and stuff. Yeah. So Albert, I tell Palillito, and I say everybody here, you remember how many times John Morris sent my hard girl back to the bench when he go to the mound and say, get out of here. I don't need you right now. How many times he did that? Oh man, Jack Morris was a character, man. I'm telling you, man, we had some fun guys on that team. It was great times, great stories.
But those are, you know how now, Albert, everything is analytics, sabermetric, and all this stuff. But that's one thing that if you don't have it as a team, you're gonna have trouble. For you to go all the way to the World Series, it doesn't have to win it, but at least to go far in the playoff, you do need character, guys. in your team, and the computer is not going to tell you that. I mean,
Right.
I remember we had here Geraldo Parra, and he was telling us when he got traded to the Nationals, he said, man, these guys didn't even know how to win. They didn't even know how to act when they lose. They had no idea. All of a sudden, he did something with the baby shark, and the whole thing started. The whole stadium went off, and people in the media thought, Geraldo Parra, probably an all-star player. No, he was just a pinch hitter guy. But he was the character that brought the fans into the game. So, I mean, how special is right now to make sure that baseball doesn't lose that in teams? Because we do need characters, guy. And to be able to have those, Albert, we're going to need the 32, 33-year-old veteran for them to be in the game.
Well, what I don't understand is like, if you look at the Minnesota Twins, they had Paul Molitor managing the team, and they were doing phenomenal. And I remember robbing you out when he was in Arizona. Like he basically walked away from the game because they didn't want great baseball people with great baseball minds, to make baseball decisions.
Yeah.
And that's what has happened to the game is like, how can, you tell somebody how to hit 300 when you've never even got to the big leagues or hit 300. And it's like, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, wow, nobody wants Wade Boggs to manage or teach their team. Nobody wants Dave Winfield, Eddie Murray, to work with their hitters and stuff. And it's like, wow, like these are great baseball minds with great information, and they don't even want these people like around the ballpark. And that's the scary part of the game.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, man. It's what we're going through right now is hard in baseball. They don't want even people that that play the game before. Around the ballpark, because they want to have people that play in college or people that play in the minor leagues, but players that play in the big leagues, they don't want it at the ballpark because they don't want to change their philosophy.
They want to make sure that for you to be able to help these guys that are in the big league now, you better understand the computer world. If you don't understand the computer analytic world, you're kind of like an outsider. And then they'll tell you, Albert, if you want, you come to spring training, enjoy it. Talk to the guys around here, but I mean, even with Louis Tian, that he's kind of like part of our family. He tells them, I go to spring training, and whoever wants to talk, I'll talk to them. But right now, I mean, they start going, well, when I when I throw my curveball 3.55 degree, it's like, oh, what the heck? I have no idea. I can't help you in that. Yeah. I mean, and imagine you, Albert Belle. I mean, if somebody would have tell you back then, like when you were starting in baseball, say you better keep up your exit velo 110 miles per hour. You better do your launch angle so many degrees. I think that I don't know. I think it's too much, and they're doing it to kids right now. To kids.
Yeah, it's scary how. I think the game will come back and change. I mean, I noticed, the last couple of years, Dusty Baker's come back to manage. Look what he's done with the Astros. Tony La Russa, now is managing the White Sox. So I think it will slowly, the baseball minds, we're old school, considered old school now. I think we will slowly come back into the game. And I think fans are going to get tired of like, wow, like, and I was watching the Cubs and the Cardinals, and Javier Baez came up. He already has 125 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I was like, and he hasn't made an adjustment. I was like, somebody needs to tell him, like, are you proud to be hitting like 220? Because I wouldn't be. I mean, with 125 strikeouts, and I would love to be a pitcher facing him. You don't have to throw him a strike and say, this guy doesn't walk.
No,
but they're happy he has 21 homers and 61 ribbies, and I'm like, okay, and look what place the Cardinals or the Cubs are in. They're getting killed.
I know.
No, and it's good that Albert mentioned Dusty Baker.
Yes,
but we had talked about it here because I really think Albert, he was dealt a bad hand. But of course, he's Dusty Baker. He knew what the heck to do. I mean, he knows the game better than anybody else. And I think they were like, what happened in Houston, we cannot bring somebody that just know computer. we're
Right.
gonna have to bring an old-fashioned guy to deal with the media. But they really didn't know that he was gonna gel so well with the whole freaking team. And now everybody is like putting their eyes on Dusty Baker because the Astros, I mean, I'm pretty sure they would like to have a young guy that they could tell him what to do, send in 3 lineups. This is, you play one of these guys. But I mean, Dusty Baker, Baerga, you can't move him out of there now.
I know.
Right.
No, he's
No,
doing
you
really
can't.
good.
And here's the thing about Houston and Michael Brantley is like leading the league in hitting, and like nobody's saying anything. They're so worried about, they're saying like Ohtani's the MVP, and I was like, well, based on what? Where's his team? He got hot, so his team got out of the cellar, and they might eventually finish at like 500. So how is he the most valuable player when Brantley's leading the league in hitting? And his team's going to win, probably going to win 100 games.
Yeah.
So,
Albert, I got a question. I got a question. Who you like to watch? I know you watch the game. The Albert is a fanatic. He loves baseball. Who you like to watch it? The best 2 hitters that you see right now in baseball.
Wow. I like watching Michael Brantley hit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like, I know what's going to be his approach because he understands what the pitcher's trying to do. He's understand what's the scoreboard saying.
Yeah.
What inning are we in? Are there runners on base? Runners not on base? And he comes from, he's a baseball family, so he has a great baseball mind. And I think that's that's trickled down on that team, and they're kind of they want to prove that they were not a fluke. With the scandal and everything, and they want to go out and play and, prove everybody wrong. And another interesting story is what I'm trying to figure out is like, I don't know if y'all have been watching San Francisco, but they are leading the league in home runs.
I know. That's amazing.
And
I was going to say that
like,
to you, Palillito. I was going to say that to you. I see that today. I say, what? I can't believe it.
Yeah. They are kicking the Dodgers' butt. I know the Dodgers probably like a couple games behind, but it just feels like San Francisco has like a 12-game lead over the Dodgers, and I'm like, they don't have a lot of home run hitters, but they're leading the league, and it comes down to because they used to have a bad team batting average, but now they're putting the ball in play, and they're hitting home runs. And not only just hitting solos, but they're hitting 2- and 3-run homers, and that's how and they got a pretty decent pitching staff. They got a lot of guys, having some great seasons. But that's what it takes to win. Is those pitchers know it's like I'm going to get run support. And
there's Albert. Right now, there's 2 things that baseball hate the most right now. And when I say baseball, is the new baseball, analytic and cybernetic. Because we all know every team has like 45 guys that only do everything analytic and all that.
Yeah.
The San Francisco Giants is driving baseball crazy because they're the older team. They're pretty much average 30, 32 years old. So the veteran guys are doing it there in San Francisco. They don't like that, of course. And the second one is, when they start doing this, the umpire checking the pitcher with the pine tar and all that, they thought that the spin rate was something done because analytic was involved. Analytic was telling them how to pitch. Computers were saying do it like this, so you get more rotation on the ball. All of a sudden, everything went down. Spin rate went down. The strikeouts went down. Walks went up. So those 2 things, the Giants and the pine tar, is driving baseball crazy, and I don't know what to say. But before you go, I would like you to tell the fans how you were feeling in this last at bat that you had in the big league, that it would turn out to be a home run. Were you 100% healthy, or how bad it was?
I wasn't 100% healthy. I came back. I got activated off the disabled list, and the last 6 games. I think I know we played the Yankees. I can't remember who we played before the Yankees. It was 6 games, and I had like 97 RBIs, and wasn't even really like playing well, and got 6 RBIs in 6 games. So to get another 100 RBIs. I was, not feeling good because I didn't get the 30 homers, but I spent a lot of time on disabled list. But I'm gonna go, and that was Denny Nagel, right, who was pitching, and they had picked him up. So here's how the approach went. So I had never faced Denny Nagel. I had never seen him because he spent most of his time, I think, with the Reds and the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
So first pitch, I was gonna take because I was like, okay, I don't know where his release point is. He throws a fastball right down the middle. I was like, okay, all right, I got it stored away. He rears back. He throws the same pitch. Boom, there it goes, home run. And I was like, that's how you hit. That's the approach. Because I can't go up there and swing at the first pitch when I don't know where his release point is.
Oh my God! Thank you, Albert. Thank you that you talk about this. Listen, people, listen what he saying. Let me say in Spanish. Ustedes están escuchando. Ahora mismo está hablando un veterano bateador. Él no conocía el pitcher. ¿Cómo yo puedo ir a swingar el primer picheo si no he visto cómo la bola rompe ni nada? Y él dijo, tengo que coger un picheo para mirarlo porque es la primera vez que me lo voy a enfrentar. That's what we're talking about. Know what he's going to throw, what he throw, how the ball moves, and stuff like that. So he went with a plan to hit. Right. You have to go with a plan.
Yeah, but you have bad launch angle in that one. That was a bad launch angle. So that was a lucky home run there.
And the exit velocity was like 99.
Yeah. Hey, Albert, every home run, Albert hit maybe 20 fly balls for homer. Albert land drive homer, land drive right field, land drive center field, land drive left field. That's the way he hit. That's the way Albert Pujols say. That's the way Mike Trout hit. Like that. I don't know why they come up with this long angle stuff. That's the wrong thing I ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's too much stats involved, and I hate when you turn on the TV and it's like, okay, they sometimes they won't put the batting average, home runs, and RBIs, but they're putting like all this other stuff where you're just taking all these numbers and making up, his WAR and his OPS and then his WHIP. And I'm like, well, okay, I don't really understand that, but it's just a part of the game that doesn't need there. Let's see what his batting average is, and you can tell. Okay, if he's hitting 300, he probably has a high on base percentage.
Yeah.
If the guy is hitting 200. He probably has a really low on base percentage, and his strikeouts are probably up. So, they don't, they're just trying to come up with something new and not to use the batting average. But the batting average it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Hey, they went as far as saying, I don't know if you remember, Albert, when Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown, there was actually guys, analytic guys, and cybernetic guys saying, Triple Crown, it's not a big deal. It's not what? Oh, like we do that every freaking year. I mean, it took like 50 years before somebody else did it again, and you acting like it's normal.
Yeah. It is amazing. I want to say something about you, Albert, and I'm going to say to everybody, this guy right here on the 90s lead the league in baseball on the 90s in RBIs, 1,099. Listen to this. In extra base hit, Palito, on the 90s, lead the league in Major League Baseball. So this guy right here, he stopped playing because he got hurt. He lost 3 years of his contract, I think 3 or 4 years of his contract because he have a replacement hip and stuff like that. So he don't play, anymore in his career. But I believe for myself, this guy needs to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm gonna see him in the Hall of Fame. That's what I think, Albert.
Well, I appreciate that. And speaking of Hall of Fame, and I hope you guys give a shout out to Pete Rose, because when you think this, I mean, it's like 4,000 hits. I mean, he played 20 plus seasons. I said that's a lot of games, and it's a shame that he has still been banned.
Yeah.
From and I always tell people, I said, there's been people that have killed people and they've gotten out of jail in less than 20 years. And you're still banning this guy for gambling. Yes, we understand it was bad for the game. It's bad for baseball. Yeah. But can we forgive this guy? can we let this guy have his day of glory, and where he can, hold his head up hold his head up high, go to the Hall of Fame ceremony and be where he's supposed to be, because 4,000 hits. I mean, we don't need to say anything else. That speaks for itself. We don't have to look at, his OPS. We don't have to look at all these other stats. We know.
No, he
4,000
belongs
hits.
there.
Yeah, he was a winner. He just
he
made,
belongs there,
and
and you know how it is, Albert and Baerga. I mean, it's funny how most of the time when something happens, Major League goes, we're not the Hall of Fame. We don't deal with the Hall of Fame. They do it their thing. That they follow their own rule. But then when something is going on, the Hall of Fame will say, well, baseball doesn't want him there. Baseball doesn't want to do it that way. So I mean, it's nice that you mentioned Pete Rose, because we here talk about it too. I mean, we think that he should be in the Hall of Fame. We know about the betting, and at least all the proof in the betting when everything that came out, he was betting on his team to win. It's not like he was betting for them to lose. He was trying to get them, make money while his team was winning. So at least you could give him at least a little bit of that. I mean, he wasn't trying to throw the game just to mess up games. I mean, but it great that you mentioned that. But yeah, I think the Albert Belle, I mean, you did a lot in the game, and if you wouldn't get hurt, it would have been more damage in this game. So I mean, you the man. You I enjoy watching you, and I every time I people tell me what's one of the guys that you try to imitate hitting wise. You were one of the guys. I just couldn't bend. I mean, I tried. I did the bat, but I just couldn't. I mean, was that something you felt that you were doing, or that's just that's just how I hit? I had no idea how I was doing.
That was just how I hit. I felt more comfortable with the crouch.
Yeah,
and just where my hands were, and I just thought I could be quick through the zone that way. I didn't like to feel like I was standing like tall. I watch a lot of these hitters and they're standing tall, and I was like, wow, it looks like they're getting ready to go play a softball game, because they're gonna swing like straight up. And I was like, I just felt more comfortable with the crouch, and I felt like I was in a real like power position, and I could hit the ball around the ballpark. So everybody's different. Some people were able to copy off of it, and it worked for them, and some people made them feel uncomfortable.
Albert, I just love Armando Benitez was so pissed off. Here, and you
hey, when I went to Baltimore in '99, I think that was like the first thing he brought up. Like, he was still mad at '99.
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
that was something. Albert, we want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to interview today. That was very special. I know that people love it. And you know what? God bless you. All the best with your daughters. I know that you're having fun with them. And you know what? You're going to be in the Hall of Fame because you put the numbers. You show everybody what it takes to be a great hitter in the big leagues. And what you say today is all right, man. God bless you. All the best,
all right,
you, man. And always, honest, one of the best teammates I ever have in my life. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Okay. Good luck to you.
I appreciate it, my man. Nice seeing you. Well, señores, ahí tenemos a Albert Belle, uno de los bateadores de fuerza que más grande ha tenido el béisbol. Y ya, pues, como le estaba diciendo Baerga, si no se hubiese lastimado, le podemos poner, quién sabe, si unos 5 añitos más a Albert Belle, y cuidado, tú sabes. Y él siempre remolcó 100 carreras, Baerga, así que
Palillito,
iba a estar remolcando 100 carreras.
Es que es increíble, y perdone la gente que lo vuelva a traer, pero que me puse a mirar sus números. Él, acuérdense, miren esto, Palito, y perdone que vuelva otra vez. Su primer año él cogió 234 turnos, que fue en el 89 cuando subió. De ahí el año del 90 no jugó. Acuérdense que él estuvo fuera, por ese año completamente fuera. Solamente jugó 9 juegos, ¿sabe? Que ese año no cuenta en Grandes Ligas. Quiere decir que cuando usted cuenta completamente, él lo que tuvo fueron 11 años. En 11 años, 381 jonrón, 389 dobles, 1,239 carreras empujadas, 1,726 hits. Oigan eso, en 11 años nada más. Esto fue lo que hizo este hombre. Y en todos los años, menos el primero, empujó más de 100 carreras. Y ahí está.
No, de verdad que era de los individuos que ya tú podías poner, mira, va a remolcar 100 carreras, debe pegar 30 y pico cuadrangulares sin ningún problema. Y ese último año, por eso le hicimos, ¿verdad?, la pregunta de cómo él se sentía, porque se ve claro cuando él está corriendo que no se ve bien. El swing es uno compacto y rápido, el que le hace a Danny Nagel, pero en sí se ve que en la cadera ya él no la puede girar por completo. Pero Baerga, un equipo malo, si no me acuerdo, o si no me equivoco, yo creo que Baltimore ese año perdió 88, 89
Malísimo.
juegos. O sea, que no fue un equipo bueno, y él como quiera, en 140, 141 partidos, él remorcó sobre 100 carreras, señores, en un equipo que lo único que existía, podemos decir, es Carripken y él, porque no había más nada. Y él como quiera, Baerga, pudo remorcar 100 carreras en menos de 150 partidos. Mire, usted nació para eso.
Impresionante, 5 juegos de estrella, 5 Silver Slugger, uno de los 8 peloteros, como le dije, Beirut, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Foxx, Albert Belle, y después que viene Pujol, Manny Ramírez y Alex Rodríguez. ¿Sabes? Esto es para que ustedes vean el nivel que está este hombre, y el único pelotero desde el 1990 hasta el 2000, averaje de 37 jonrones por temporada y 120 al viaje. Eso no se lo quita a nadie. Este hombre daba palo de verdad, y de verdad que fue un honor poder haber jugado con él.